Okay, we're live on YouTube, so I can turn that off. Okay. Channel. Bear with me, folks, while I... There we go. Streaming all over the place. Right, so that's good. Got the chat ready. This is great. Is it not doing it? My phone being a moo-moo. Oh my god, are you serious? I'm guessing it won't start until it starts then, maybe. Tech. Gotta love tech. Goodness me. Ridiculous phone. Why won't it start? Bear with me, folks.
What's this bloody keep that? Hang on. Giving value. Oh, you just deleted it. What? She's meant to. Isn't Angie meant to be on at 6?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, is she?
So
No,
my phone.
Hi, Angie.
My phone did not want to connect.
You know what? I tell you what, they're trying to stop you, aren't they? They did
Oh,
last
yeah.
week as well.
Oh yeah.
They know how, the thing is, they know how powerful you are. That's the thing.
Well,
anyway, listen,
yeah.
enjoy your show.
Thank you. Right, I'm going to start recording before I forget.
Okay. To start recording, give it a name like episode 2 or something like that, or something memorable for the show itself.
Okay, bear with me. Trying to type on this stupid little phone. Right. Okay, we are now recording. Okay, we got there eventually. Right, so I'm Angie. Amongst other things, I'm a witch, a cultist, a sound healer, many things. And the topic of tonight's discussion is love consciousness. So what is that? Well, the one thing it definitely is the real reason that we are here right now. It's why before we incarnated, we chose to be here for this expansion of consciousness, without question. And, you know, some people go, oh no, I didn't choose this. Oh yes, you did. And for me personally, and some people feel the same, others don't. It's very much an empowered place to be when you know that you've chosen to be here to experience this, because it doesn't happen, that often, that we're going through this expansion of consciousness. So for me, and I hope for you guys as well, it's a very powerful time. It might not feel like that sometimes, but I'll get into that. So this might sound a little bit controversial to start off with, but I'm going to start with a quote. And you might know this, you might not. Most people only know the first bit. Do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. So most people go, ugh, it's that demonic bloke. And yeah, he was branded, Aleister Crowley, he was branded the beast by the Daily Mail, funny enough. It hasn't changed. But if you actually look at what he is saying is love underpins everything, especially your will. So if your divine will is coming from a place with love as the foundation, then you really cannot go wrong. That's that inner guidance that people talk about, but it's making it practical. Myself and Ian are always saying, does it actually do what it says on the tin? And if it doesn't, it goes in the bin. I'm sorry. It has to be workable. It has to be practical. So again, I'm going to touch on that. But the other thing and I know, I think everyone on the Telegram group knows this saying, yeah? Energy flows where attention goes. So, what does that mean? Well, what that means is where you put your attention is where you're putting your energy. So be careful. Be careful where you put your attention, because you're literally, whatever that is that you're giving attention to, you're giving your energy to. And your energy, it's like, would you chop off your fingers if someone said, oh, I want your attention? No, you wouldn't. So why would you, hang on, I've got a sound thing going on here on this end. Bear with me a second. I'll just mute that. That's better. Why would you give something your attention, your energy, that you do not want to grow, essentially? So stop it. That's what I say. But again, that can get, that phrase, energy flows where attention goes, can really get people quite animated. But it's all part of the learning process, because I don't think there are many souls on this planet here right now who remember the last time that they went through an awakening journey. There aren't many. There are some, but not many, I would suggest. So, yeah, how do you feel about, just take a little bit of stock. How do you feel about the things that I've already put out there? Excuse me, that's the dog. Out. Go on. Out. I'm talking. Thank you. Under protest, he went out. So, love consciousness it's the thing that creates everything. It is the creator. Some would call it source or God or the gods. It doesn't matter what you call it, but essentially it is love. So as we walk this, we call it a synchro-mystic path that's unfolding. It's like you've got one foot in the societal matrix and one foot on this guided path that is love consciousness, which can be tricky. Don't get me wrong, it's tricky sometimes. But you can choose. You can absolutely choose to have love consciousness there with you, because this is something that came about. The kind of solidity of this idea that it's a consciousness, not just a whim, because it is actually very practical, and there are things that you can do to align to this. So I'm gonna give it a stab. I'm gonna attempt to answer the what is it, why would you connect with it, who can connect with it, when and how to connect with love consciousness. So I'm just gonna do a little magic here. I have a 432 tuning fork. So love consciousness is what we have been told. That's our own personal insights. I think other people talk about it as well, but I don't know, because we don't necessarily listen to a lot of, other so-called experts on. There's lots of them on YouTube. They've all got the answers, but no one's got the answers. Anyway, so 432, we worked out, is the frequency of love consciousness. So I'm just going to play this tuning fork. I hope you can hear that. It's very subtle. So that, and what that frequency does, it instantly brings you back into alignment with your true nature. So it's our natural state of being, which is expansive and pure love. So even things like when people talk about what's the word I'm looking for? Blah. Unconditional love. It doesn't really explain it. It never did for me anyway. It's like, what? I mean, I've got to go and love everybody. That doesn't make sense. Or, there are so many things about the words unconditional love that don't make sense. It's like, it just didn't. So this idea that it's a consciousness that is a creator, which we are part of, if that makes sense. So we are love consciousness, but we're part of that. We're part of it. That's a unity, basically, that everyone talks about. So love consciousness is the mothership, if you like, and we're the little pods, for want of a better analogy. So when you are aligned to this frequency, 432, this frequency then begins to build and then emanate from you. So a lot of the stuff that I still do this. I keep up a practice of switching on that light in the DNA. And that's part of this journey as well. Because what you're doing essentially is you are making your light body whole, if that makes sense, rather than being fractured. So again, that's to do with where you put your energy, where you put your attention and your energy. You leave bits of that behind. So for me personally, that journey has been switching on the light in the DNA has basically magnetized all those extra bits of energy that I've left all over the place. They come back. You magnetize them and they come back, which is quite amazing. So this frequency, this 432 frequency, it ripples out and mirrors back. Again, I challenge a lot of these ideas that people put out there. So I don't believe it's a law of attraction. I believe it's a law of reflection. So it's a slight difference. But for me, it works a lot better. That it's a ripple effect because it's waves. Everything is energy, everything is waveform. So it makes sense to me that if you start, it's like this tuning fork, it starts vibrating at a frequency that ripples out and then it eventually comes back. So it shows you your internal landscape, what we call the inner temple. So your outer temple reflects your inner temple. So love consciousness is it's a way of being. Absolutely, it's a way of being. It's a very expansive energy. It's highly intuitive. So that inner guidance, allowing yourself to be guided by that, it feels a bit strange sometimes. It feels like you're not in control, but you are. It's just we're not used to that. We're not used to doing things that way. We're used to thinking everything and being kind of led by the head, if you like. There is a correlation. There is a not correlation, a merging, if you like, of a mind and your heart, your heart consciousness, if you like. But it's not all mind. It's not all, top heavy, if you like. It's also fluidic in nature. So the way I see that is, so you have two quite different ways of being in the world. You can be very rigid, and institutions are a big example of something that's very rigid, has rigid rules. Everything, you can't challenge it because it has those rules in place. You cannot reason with it at all. No reasoning with institutions. And then you've got this very fluidic way of being in the world, which is around letting that synchro-mystic path unfold. So, get a drink of water. So, this is what we call the illuminated path, and the signposts on that path that you then follow. And it's quite amazing. I think I touched on that last week about that you can actually set that. You can set that intention that true path is illuminated to the point where you cannot miss it. You cannot miss those signs when they come up. It's synchro-mystic. It's very open. It is peaceful. There's a stillness that comes when you are allowing that guidance from within. There's the insight there. If you've ever watched the Celestine Prophecy, that is mandatory viewing, because the Celestine Prophecy just has a way of showing you what love consciousness is, and it is amazing. I love that film. It's proactive as opposed to reactive. So a rigid way of being is very reactive. It's not very proactive at all. But it's also love consciousness, because when love consciousness spoke to Ian, because he gets these things directly. I mean, it doesn't even label itself love consciousness. It's willing to accept that label, but doesn't have a label, and it asks for nothing. There are no rules. And we're like, okay, so how does this work then? If it doesn't want anything, it doesn't want to be labelled, really, and it has no rules, how are we supposed to work with this? But it's about frequency. That's what it's about. And it's absolutely this energy that we are all, everybody and everything on the planet is going through this incredible expansion of consciousness. So yeah, love consciousness is when it comes to injustice, it doesn't even, there's not even anything to do, so to speak, because if you are resonating in that frequency, 432, it's like things that try and get in, just they literally get alchemized. It's like if you go into a dark room and you switch on a light, the darkness goes, it retreats. So that's why we're all having these kind of strange, people call them symptoms. It's actually resistance to the energy that's moving through us at the moment. It's a bit like a pinball machine. That's a talk for another day, though. But essentially, what these things that people call symptoms are, is as we are getting these incredible energies, downloads, some people call them upgrades, whatever you want to call it. Essentially what it's doing is it's clearing us out. It's clearing, it's you could say it's shining our light bodies, if you like. It's polishing them, if that makes sense. Which is what this expansion of consciousness is all about. You know, being this self-realized being that you actually are, still in a physical body. I mean, that's pretty awesome. So love consciousness begins with you. Everybody, although not everyone's going to go on this journey, I get that. They either don't know how or they can't, and I understand that as well, because they're in resistance. Because if they accept that this physical body is not all we are, then it's like their whole world just goes. And yes, that was me making that noise. But you know, the people that are on this journey, absolutely, they can be there. They can hold a space for the people that aren't quite ready yet. And that's what, you know, that's what we try and do in our work. So this aligning with love consciousness enables that self-realization. So if you've ever, and I'm sure there are many of you listening right now who've had that feeling, and I don't know where it comes from, like feels like it's in the depths of your being, like you're missing something, but you can't put your finger on what it is. Well, this is the frequency. This is the frequency of 432. It's also why they messed with the music. But we all know about that. So, why? Why would we connect with love consciousness? Why would we do that? Because it seems to be, you know, more work than just, you know, going about, you know, doing the same thing all the time and never really having an inkling of a bigger picture. So if everything is energy, everything is frequency, vibration, and sound, then this frequency here this frequency is very powerful. Frequency is amazing. It's why we're sound healers, because it has a knack of there are no barriers when it comes to sound. It just goes through you and out the other side, and when it vibrates your whole being, because you know we're mostly water, so that's going to have that amazing amplifying effect. It's like, why wouldn't you want to connect with a frequency that aligns you with your true nature? It feels like a no-brainer, really. Although, I will say, I resisted that for many years. So although I'm saying it's a no-brainer, I was in resistance for about 30 years. And I'd had many opportunities to align with it and like kicked it in the teeth. But, you know, we learn and we grow and we get there in the end. So when you think about how the world operates, it's in a constant state of change. You know, nature is our biggest teacher. As a witch, as a pagan, you know, she is out there and she is always changing. She is not static. She is not rigid. She's always changing. And it can be subtle little things or it can be big things. During 2020, when they didn't cut the green for, this is the council, they didn't cut the green for about a year. And because they didn't cut the green for a year, a tree grew on the green. So we have an extra tree on our green out the front. It's amazing. That's a massive change. All because they didn't cut the green. And, you know, I've got, you know, issues with, you know, how they manage that anyway. But, you know, that's pretty awesome. And I love that. So, you know, there's that question, you know, would you rather align with that expansive frequency, like the tree, because it's a what tree is it? It's a locust tree, so it grew really quickly and it's massive, highly expansive. I love it. Or would you prefer to align with the frequency of fear and pain, which is what we are taught? That's what we are conditioned to resonate with. You could say that's 440 hertz, possibly. There are other frequencies as well that, and there are some when you play them together, it creates almost like an infrasound, which is quite disturbing. Fear and pain is not a consciousness. It's more of a thought form. Technically, everything's a thought form, but fear and pain is not a creative force. Not at all. It has no creative ability whatsoever. Love consciousness, because it's expansive, is a humongous creative force. So I know where I'm putting my eggs. I'm putting them over there. Thank you very much. So it's very much, aligning with love consciousness is very much that journey of self-realization, which is what we're here for. So I say, let's go and align with that. It's also your perception of the world, which is directly related to your inner frequency. So you could always ask yourself, what do you want your world to look like? Which again can be a really hard question to look at if you don't like the way your world looks. And this is your immediate world, because the stuff that's out there is co-created. So you can take some responsibility for that, but everyone's doing it. Some knowingly, some not. But your immediate reality is very much a reflection of your own perception. So, what would you want that to look like? Have a think. Which is, again, frequency. So are you aligning with the frequency of 432, for example? Or is there another frequency going on that makes you feel a little bit rubbish? So who can connect with love consciousness? Anyone. Anyone can choose. So another one, I have many mantras. One of them is, your ability to choose is a superpower. That is our superpower. As creator beings, our ability and our freedom to choose is a superpower. Be under no illusion about that. So you can be the change. I know that's an old one, but it's a good one. So 432 hertz, which is love consciousness, is our natural frequency because it's expansive. It's creator being. Yeah. It's the frequency of the universe as well, although you could argue it's a vacuum out there, Ange. And yeah, it is, so there's no sound out there, but it's still creating. Something out there is creating stuff. And I'm going with 432 hertz. It's a frequency in the void space. So it's always there. It's always there for you to connect with. And it's everything that always has been, is, and will be. So I suppose the question I would ask is, are you ready for change? So if you are ready for this change, then that's very much about listening to your inner guidance. Some people call it soul, spirit, higher consciousness, higher self. There are many words that people use, but essentially it's that being of who that inner being, yeah. And allow yourself to be guided by that being. Which is, it's always interesting. But again, I've got to say, the Celestine Prophecy is an amazing resource. And every time you watch it, you will pick up something different. I guarantee it. And you could even set the intention before you watch it that you want an answer to such and such a question. And I guarantee that answer will come up in that film. It's amazing. So when can anyone connect with love consciousness, Ange? Okay, so now. Right now. Right here. Right now. In this phenomenal time that we're in. Yeah. I don't know if any of you where do I go? I go to Space Weather Live. It's pure analytics, yeah, no agendas or anything like that. So when I was looking at that last week, it's like, wow. The sun is doing phenomenal stuff. And again, the way I see that is you have the central sun, which is the powerhouse, and it's basically relaying messages to all the other stars in this solar system or universe. I don't know. Who knows where the central sun is? I know it's around there somewhere. But basically it relays information, which we then get. We get it all the time anyway. There's always energy moving through us. You could even say there's neutrinos. I like neutrinos. They're very cool. They are the particle which creates anything. It's not even that creates everything, it creates anything. They are, when this is done, go and look up neutrinos. They are amazing. So with this increase in solar activity, we're getting more insights. So to allow yourself to be open to the truth of, who and what you really are, that's the alignment. And to be able to hold that space for that energy to move through and to be able to assimilate those insights it's now. 100% is absolutely now. It's not a destination. It's not somewhere where we have to get to. It's something we already are. So a little side note. Years and years ago, I was in Greenwich Market and I was looking, I can't remember what I was looking for on this particular stall. And there was this little tile which, when I picked it up, the lady said to me, she said, "Oh, you can have that. It came out a bit wrong." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I turned it over, and on the back of it, it said, "What you are looking for is inside of you." And I'm like, okay. And this was, yeah, I was still doing very destructive things back then, but that just hit me. It's like it hit me round the chops. So, we get these amazing insights, which we can either choose to put to one side or we can choose to go, okay, so where does this lead, or what's next? Which, I love that. What's next? So it's very much being open to the phenomenal possibilities of being an expanded being. I hope that makes sense. So my other mantra, I have many. Intention is 99% of universal law. Intention is 99% of universal law. So if you choose to intend something different, so if you choose to intend to connect with the frequency of 432, love consciousness, and then make those tweaks to how you are in the world, that's that ripple. That's the ripple effect. And then see what comes back. Because myself and my partner Ian, we're occultists, we like doing these experiments just to see what happens. It's very powerful when you make that choice and intend something that's aligned to this particular frequency. And I bet there are loads of you out there right now that are going, "Oh yeah." And these synchronicities that keep happening, or what example have I got? Okay, so we were looking at our wild garden and we're saying we haven't got any of that or any of that in the garden, so maybe we need to get some. And then I went out there this morning. I'm like, that thing that we said we haven't got in the garden, we've got it in the garden. So what did that require? Nothing. It was an intention. And right now, that is very powerful. So sci-fi explores that a lot. When you get to the point where you are a fully realized creator being, you have to mind what you're thinking. And like sci-fi is amazing at expanding your mind. So who is holding the reins? Who is driving the car of your particular reality? Because you have a choice. You have a choice. You always have choice. Choice is your superpower. And you can do that at any time. Any time you can go, right, I'm going to choose something different right now. Right now. Because all we've got, as we're always told, is now. It's the only time you can make a choice is now. And we all know that. I don't need to tell you that, really. So, how? How do we connect with love consciousness? Well, one of the things, and this came from the Hathors. The Hathors are let me get this right, an interdimensional species of being who came from the planet Venus, and Tom Kenyon, you might have heard of him, connected with them. they've connected with Ian, and their thing is you need to laugh more, and you need to play more. And in fact, when some big scary thing institution comes towards you and goes, rah, yeah, I enjoy laughing at them, saying, "You want to play? Let's play." So, always very interesting. So yeah, definitely not being quite so serious. And life isn't here to be very, very serious. It's not. It really isn't. We are here to experience what it's like to be in these physical bodies, as light beings. We have a very different experience when we're not incarnated in a physical body. But we're here to enjoy this experience. We really are. Always knowing that you're always connected, because it is you. So you can't be disconnected from, you can be disconnected from your inner being. I should know that. But realizing that you're not really. All that ever was that looked like it was disconnected was programs, conditioning, your own self getting in the way and rejecting, the things that people are saying to you, if you like. So I suppose that the question is really, it's not about reconnecting necessarily with yourself, but how do I disconnect from the fear and the pain? And part of that is learning to recognize when that fear and pain is distracting you. And again, it's a challenge, because we're not taught that. We are taught that fear and pain is where it's at, and that's it. So there's a it's like super awareness. That's the only way I can kind of describe that. Because my take on pain is that's a density that's actually trying to leave. So if we hold a space for it to leave, and breath work is amazing for doing that. Let it leave. Don't hold on to it. It's trying to go. Let it go. Let it leave. And sometimes you have to get your body into a particular position. I was doing that on my foot yesterday. I had a very strange pain in the top of my toe, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. So I bent my toe in a strange fashion, and this energy left. It disappeared out of my toe. It was like, okay. So sometimes you have to move, and I think that's why another reason why moving is so important. So whatever that is for you, walking, dancing, I don't know, whatever it is, moving your body is so important because it helps to get rid of that energy. So yeah, definitely recognizing when the fear and the pain is trying to distract you, trying to pull you out of your stillness, because it's stillness, that peace. That's why meditation is amazing. And when I say meditation, that could take the form. It doesn't have to be sitting down and being quiet. Any form of creativity is meditation. If you have ever got lost in a creative project, that's meditation, because you've lost all sense of that exterior world. Does that make sense? So you're fully connected to divine source energy, which is coming through you and coming out through your hands to be creative. Yeah. Or through your voice, whatever, however you are creative. That'll be particular to yourself. So yeah, what do you love? What is it you love doing? So, absolutely take the time to do those things that you love. What is it that that feels what brings you joy? What is that? What do you get really excited about when you talk about it? A bit like me right now. Really take the time to feel what that is. Yeah. Slowing down. Oh my goodness, slowing down. Because if you are rushing, if you're in a constant beta brainwave state, you can't see the signposts on that illuminated path because you just run past them. You can't see them. So slowing down will help that inner guidance 100%. But you got to choose it. To feel what love consciousness, how it manifests, I should say, it's nature. 100% nature. That's top of the list for me every time. But meditation, creativity, community is so important. And again, why have communities, why have the horrible institutions tried to destroy community? Because it brings us a sense of love. Says it all, really, doesn't it? Frequency, vibration, sound. Nurturing yourself, being in silence is so powerful. It's amazing. So I'm just going to end, and then I'm going to shut up. So, one more saying: with great power comes great responsibility. So, what do I mean? So when you connect with love consciousness, this holds the same charge. So through that journey of connecting with love consciousness, there's always personal responsibility and self-discipline. So what does that mean? That means that you take back the reins, and if you do steer in the wrong direction, own it. That's what I'd say about that. And then go, okay, I need to go back the way I came just for a little bit and get back on my track. Does that make sense? So yeah, that oh god, I could go on for hours about that. So we have got some time if anyone would like to ask any questions or share what their journey's been. Would anyone like to say anything?
I'll jump in, Angie, and just say thank you for your show. And we've had a message from Shalina, who won't be able to do her show, which would have followed yours at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So if you feel like you want to go over a little bit, or if the questions come at you and it goes past 7 o'clock, there is no panic for the next show to start.
Oh, cool.
Feel free to crack on.
Excellent.
But yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving the love.
Cool.
That was a cue for everybody else to unmute your mic and have a say hi.
I'll come in. Always do. Angie, just want to say thank you so much for the show. I've really enjoyed it. When it was interesting because when you did the 432 Fooning chart.
I love it when that happens.
Tuning for. I'm dyslexic. It evoked in me so many years ago. I was a right wonky donkey and had all sorts of illnesses and addictions and blah 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 blah. And I remember been sat by my window looking out at the sky, and the tuning fork invoked this. So I remember I saw what I would call a star portal. So
Wow.
I was watching this star, and it just got bigger and bigger, and it just took over the sky. And then I saw a being, and then all my passed over relatives. But the reason why I'm telling you this is because the thing that I felt was unconditional love. Even though I was going through hell at the time, I knew everything was going to be all right. And I just had, an overwhelming, supportive feeling of love, and, eventually everything that was going to be all right. And it's interesting because when you did the tuning fork, that memory came up in me, and I was like, oh my God. And every now and again, I tap into that energy. And, thank you for doing the tuning fork, and I keep meaning to get myself a tuning fork, but I've not got around to it yet. But I'm very much, for me personally, where I am on my journey, I've been through hell and back, come out the other side, and I'm very much on a vibration of love and light. And I would say to anybody who's struggling or going through stuff is, doing the inner work and connecting with yourself, and doing all the different, journaling, the mirror work, and all this various stuff. It's well worth the journey,
Absolutely.
And the thing is, I mean, you probably know, Angie, life becomes a lot easier. Life becomes, very simple. It becomes very peaceful and very serene. And for me personally today, I don't allow, people, places and things, or anything, what's going on in the world or anything, to take away my love vibration and my peace vibration, which I absolutely adore. So I just want to say thank you so much for the show. I've really enjoyed it this evening.
Oh, cool.
Just another little quick question.
Yep.
Did you mention that you've got a Telegram channel?
Yes, I have.
Would you be able to, is it private, or would you be able to post it on Holistic Radio, so for anybody who wants to join, they can do?
No, I can post it. It was private, but I've undone that. I've opened it up. So yeah.
Oh yeah, because I'd love to see your inspirational whatever you do on a daily basis and just have a look. So yeah, thank you so much. Another amazing show. So thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to? Who have we got here? Oh, we've got loads of people. Oh my goodness.
The link to Everything is Magic chat is on the Holistic Radio group chat now, so people can see that and join.
Oh, thank you. Anyone else like to share or ask a question?
Here's a quick question.
Yep.
In Everything is Magic, you've spelt magic with a K on the end that isn't normally there. What's the relevance of having the K at the end of magic?
It's really just to set it apart from the illusionist, the stage magician, which is all about illusion.
Got you. Okay.
Whereas
yes.
Magic,
because if you say to somebody, "Do you believe in magic?" they immediately think of David Copperfield or something like that. Or,
yeah. Whereas everything is magic, literally. Even those stage magicians are magic, but they I don't know what they're doing. They're weird.
Not the same kind of magic, though, is it? It's not magic.
No.
Magic. It's distraction magic.
Absolutely. Yes, that's exactly what it is. Distraction magic. Anybody else?
Yeah, I've got another quick question.
Yep.
So, the question is, how long have you been on the journey that you're on now? And when did you get into your love vibration?
Ooh. It is definitely something I resisted for many, many years. I remember going. A friend of mine, she bought me a healing session. I don't know what sort of healing it was, but I know it involved crystals because when the woman was putting them on me, I was like, "What's that? What are you doing with those? Get that off me!" Oh God, blimey, what a mess. So yeah, I resisted it probably all the way up until I had my son, and then it kind of that whole love aspect of me, it didn't have a choice anymore. It came out. So he's 22 this year. So, but this particular journey of everything is magic, again, I resisted that as well because I was just scared of everything. So really, that's been since I met Ian, because I was never with anyone either before that I could share that with. I used to hide it. Even if I believed in magic with a K, I used to hide it from people because of what they would say or what I thought they would say. So that's been 13 years this year on the magic on the pure magic journey, definitely.
And just another quick question. I like asking questions.
That's all right.
So obviously you're on this journey and you do lots of different things. Would you say, I mean, obviously you're a white witch, but would you say that you're also psychic? And if you are, do you tap into that? And another one is, would you say that also you're an intuitive empath?
I wouldn't necessarily call myself a white witch. I walk a middle path. So I will, if something needs banishing, I will banish it. I don't care. So I suppose I think witches, if they walk the middle path, because not all witches are occultists, which I was quite shocked about actually in 2020, because a lot of them went right down the plug hole. I'm like, oh my goodness, where are you going? Can't you see? So not all witches are middle pathers, which is quite a shame really, but never mind. I've never really thought of myself as an empath, and having heard people that are empaths, hearing what they experience, I don't experience that. And I do experience other things. So when it comes to psychic abilities, I smell spirit, which can be very strange, and I hear it. I've had them shout in my ear quite a few times, usually when I'm not listening. They'll shout at me. And I'm like, okay, no need to shout. Obviously there was. But I think once you have got that, so you got your crown chakra open, although I would always advocate that people work on their grounding first before they even go anywhere near that, because otherwise that can end up in a really strange place, very ungrounded. So once you've got that crown chakra open, it's because years ago when I had a Kundalini awakening, I didn't know how to ground that energy. So I was going all sorts of weird places. Felt like I was being pulled out of my body. All sorts of things were happening to me. I'm like, I don't know what this is all about. Because that was nearly 20 years ago. That was. And when I finally realised it, because I'm not grounded at all, I have to actually, well, I've got an Ian, so he's very grounded, so he grounds me. But I have to actually work on grounding. So when I finally worked out that it was grounding that I needed, that all those weird things stopped happening. Why am I saying that? But what I would say is I don't necessarily work on... Do I? No, I don't. I don't close down my crown chakra. Now, a lot of people would disagree with that, but you know, if we are powerful creator beings, we're either that or we're not. So I'm going with, yeah, I'm a powerful creator being, so I don't need to close down my crown chakra. So I'm always open to insight. Does that make sense? I went on a bit of a ramble there.
Yeah, no. I totally agree with that. So if you're a middle witch, what do you call yourself? A middle witch, or is there a specific name for it, or just a witch?
I just use the term witch. I mean, being an occultist kind of puts you very much on the middle path. So, like I say, I will use, the 432 hertz tuning fork to connect me with love consciousness. But if like cord cutting, for example, I'm not afraid to cut a cord on something, and I've actually done this as well. Not an actual sword, although I have got one. But this was a metaphysical sword that I pulled out from behind my back and literally cut this cord to this person that was trying from a distance to cause me harm. And once that was cut, my breathing returned to normal. Everything returned back to normal, and I was actually on my hands and knees crawling about. I couldn't actually stand up and breathe properly. It was very, very bizarre. But once I cut that cord, so I think what that is, that's a warrior kind of spirit. That,
yeah, I would definitely say that you're a spiritual warrior. So just to ask the question,
yeah,
for anybody who doesn't, I mean, I do, but for anybody who's listening like now or on the recording, can you explain to people what cord cutting is if they don't know what it is?
Okay, so through your past experiences, you would connect with people, places, things, and experiences. So it's like I was saying earlier, when you are having those experiences and you leave bits of your energy behind, you've literally got a cord still running from you to that person, place, experience, or thing. So that's not a bad thing if it's, pardon me, a benevolent thing that you're connected to. But if it's, like in this case, that was my son's dad. Well, not a dad, father. I don't know. Pain in the bum. Yeah, definitely one of those. And he was using my son to try and get to me. So I had to cut that energetic cord so that I was then free. So it's a bit like people talk about cutting the apron strings. So you let your child go and do their thing, but you have to literally cut the apron strings off before they can go and do whatever it is they want to do. So that's kind of how I see that. And you can, there are so many different ways you can do it. You can do it like I did with a metaphysical sword. No, I will never ever forget that experience either. It's never happened again. I've never needed to do that again. I like to burn things, so I will write things down and burn them. That's a really good way of doing that. Or you can literally take a bit of cord and cut it with that intention, because don't forget, intention is 99% of universal law. So take a bit of cord. You could even attach it to yourself, and attach it to something that represents the thing that you're cutting the cord from. It's all about, it's also what works for you. So if you don't enjoy burning things, you might just, I don't know, you can actually do it by flushing it down the toilet, or putting, like, as long as it's biodegradable, in a river or something, and just letting that take it away. So, but it's all about allowing that energy that you've left it over there somewhere, and you've probably forgotten about it, to be honest, until something comes back along that pipe and goes, oh my God, what was that? And if you are aware of the people, places, experiences and things that you have connected to previously, then you can go, oh, okay, that's where that's come from. Cut it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Sorry, cord cutting is something I've been doing for many years. And I'm like you, I like to write stuff down and then go outside and burn it, maybe in the new moon or the full moon. Just to ask the question, it's only just popped in my head. Now we're talking about moons. As a witch, what is the symbolism of the moon, and how do you use it?
Oh, so for me, the moon is two things, actually, because a lot of people just associate the moon with water. I don't. I associate it with air as well. So it's inspiration, but also the energy of cleansing, of the very kind of deep, I would say subconscious mind, but I don't know, that doesn't really, it's your emotional connection to things, I suppose, which is why water also works for cord cutting, even though it doesn't feel like it does, but it does. It's very powerful for that, because it's a massive cleanser. So for me, we have a dark moon, which a lot of people call new moon. So that's when there's no illumination. So the dark moon and the full moon are the two still points between the different moon phases. So a dark moon is where you can do really deep inner work with that energy. It's also a great energy for banishing, for clearing, anything around getting rid of the stuff that doesn't serve you, basically. And then you go into the new moon, which is the time to set an intention, because from that point, when you see the first little sliver of moon, is going to be waxing from that point. So any magic around increasing something is a good thing to do. Don't forget, intention is 99% of universal law. And then the full moon kind of represents, again, as a still point, but it's also the completion of a project, or the completion of part of a project. So it could be a stepping stone, or it could be the full outcome. Does that make sense? Of something that you are trying to create. But the moon is also, I'm actually working at the moment. I'm actually working on sounds a bit naff, a moon calendar. But it's not a moon calendar as in the ones that you buy in the shops. This is a calendar that is throwing the Julian calendar out the window. I don't like that because it's all messed up. But I'm going from new moon to new moon and seeing what the journey is, tapping into each different, because each different full moon has a different energy. So as you go through the wheel of the year, each full moon has a different energy. It's really interesting. So that's a work in progress at the moment. Obviously, it takes a whole year to kind of, sit on that and see what happens. That's an interesting one, and that is very much. I've got one foot in the societal matrix Julian calendar, and the other one completely in the moon calendar, and it's very confusing sometimes, but we're getting there.
Thank you so much for that.
That's okay.
I mean, I could literally ask you questions and talk for hours.
Does anyone else have anything they wanted to share?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you might find it's an interesting conversation to touch base with Litmus Freeman.
Is that someone who's in the group?
Yes, and he's done something similar to you, but I think on a much grander scale with regards to an alternate calendar. So you might find that he might have some information or some words of wisdom that you might find useful for your project.
Okay.
I'll find his thingy on the thing and drop it in the thingamajig.
Not the Duvalaki, but the thingamajig.
Yeah, the thingamajig. Here we go.
Thank you.
Go. I've got his doofly here. Let me just come out of that. And I'll also copy his website as well.
Oh, cool.
And then I'll post them to you directly.
Okay, thank you.
Angie, and we'll get there in there. That's his website. And that's his handle on Telegram.
Cool.
So you've got litmusfreeman.net and you've got Project Freeman, which is him. That's him. If you message him directly and tell him who you are and how you know I've mentioned him, he'll love you for it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Hello, can I jump in here? Is that okay?
Oh yes.
Hello, Angie.
Hello.
Hello. I haven't got a question. Well, I have got a question, but not a traditional question. But I wanted to make a comment. It was really in reply to Dolly's question to you about whether you were an empath or not. And for those of you who don't know, Angie's my witch teacher. So I've known Angie for 3 years now, and I would say you're not the traditional empath like I am, and there's another person on this call tonight, but I don't want to out them. But what I see with you is an ability to cut through stuff to see the real picture. So I suppose that's more about intuition than empathy. But yeah, I mean, I've brought different things to you over the last 3 years, and certainly some things it's like, oh yeah, straight to the point. That's you can kind of cut through the stuff, all the because situations often are surrounded by a load of other stuff, aren't they? So I just wanted to say that as my my take on where you are with that. So I hope that's okay for me to say that.
Yeah, of course it is. Thank you.
And I also wanted to say because I didn't know this, when you said about when you first went for a healing and you were really unsure about the crystals, and now I know how much you love crystals. It would be maybe an interesting talk one Thursday if you you kind of talk to us about your crystal journey, if that's an okay thing to suggest. I don't know. I'm asking you if it's okay. I know it'll be okay, but yeah, I just wanted to put that out there, Angie.
Thank you. So I'm just writing that down, otherwise I'll forget. Crystal journey. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Thank you. And I missed the beginning because I was out somewhere, but I will catch the first half of your talk on the replay. So
yeah,
great. Cool. Thank you. I'm loving finding this holistic radio, Andy. I'm loving finding it. I mean, so far I've only listened to Angie because I don't tend to listen to a lot of stuff, but it's so nice to find something that's just, it's purely like spiritual without all the other BS that's floating around out there so much.
Yeah,
of the time.
Thank you. Yeah, we call it the doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Not doom and gloom on holistic radio. It's all happy, joy, as somebody famously said.
Absolutely. So thank you for what you do. Thank you.
You
Okay.
never know. You may be one day doing your own show. You never know.
You never know.
I'm not sure about that. I'll just keep listening to Angie for now. Thank you.
Has anyone else got anything they would like to say or ask or?
I was just going to say hi to Carly. Sometimes she comes on and says something, sometimes she doesn't. But I was asking about Carly to Dolly the other day because I haven't seen Carly on for a while or seen any interaction. So I'm hoping that everything's all right at home, Carly, and glad to see you on and listening. Much love.
To everybody. Angie, my friend who's on the call as well, listened to the sound bath and said to me, listen to that. So I had to listen to that. That was quite lovely. I went in all different places.
Oh, wow.
Have been catching up. I'm halfway through Dolly's show. I listened to Emily Jane's show and I've listened to that about 4 times and ended up somewhere else. So I am still here in the periphery, but I'm just not. Now I'm outing myself like a mother. Yep, here I am, everybody. Hello.
Hello, Carly.
That's what we want to hear.
Wow.
But no, thank you very much. Oh, appreciated.
That's
really
very cool.
Appreciated. There will be things that we'll think about and listen, and maybe I'll find some questions at another time to pop up and ask. I was thinking about when you said about occultism. I know that must cover like so many things, but you said it like that was that statement, and I thought, well, I could go anywhere in my head with that. So maybe that's a question.
Well, the word occult just means hidden, so it's. I've always loved taking things apart and putting them back together again. So, you know, occultism to me is just a grown-up way of taking things apart and putting them back together again. And that could be anything. So you're right. It's anything. Yeah.
Digging around and having a think.
Sorry?
Digging around and having a think, turning things over, looking at them. Yeah, okay, I get the gist.
Yeah, basically. It's like Val said, seeing what is really under there as opposed to what everyone says might be under there.
Yeah, I think whenever I hear the word occult from a media perspective, it's always used in the connotation of negativity, or demonic or evil or the devil. It's that they're occultists, so they must be into the devil worshipping thing. And I think that's the propaganda sort of thing that everyone, as soon as you hear or see the word occult, you don't understand it other than that term that's been utilised in the media like that. And once you realise what it actually means, which is like you've just said, it just means hidden, things that are hidden. So you're like the opposite of the borrowers, aren't you? Because you like to find things that are hidden, and the borrowers like to take things that are hidden.
Yeah, I'm an anti-borrower. No, anti-borrower. That sounds a bit I like that. I like the borrowers. The borrowers are cool. Yeah, which is kind of why I used, the quote from Aleister Crowley, who was, demonised by the Daily Mail for, for being an occultist.
Yep.
Which,
everything isn't always what it seems.
Absolutely. And the way I see that, it's like, myself and Ian have talked about this many times. The word illusion doesn't work. But the word overlay or veneer kind of tells you what that is. I like the word overlay because it's like there's something muffling, laying over, the trueness of who we are. That it's like a blanket. It's muffled. But
yeah, it's like Formica.
Yeah. It looks real, but it's not.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
Well, it's 7:20.
Yeah.
So if I think if anyone's going to have said anything or ask anything or want to, they would have done so. Oh, Mumra looks like they've unmuted. Does Mumra have a question for Angie?
Hi, yeah, I have got a question.
Hi.
Hiya. You say that you do the middle path and you do a lot of banishing work.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever banished a negative entity, for want of a better word?
I've banished a person who did me harm, which she was sort of a negative entity.
Okay.
She did steal £10,000 off me though, so I think I was warranted for doing that. I know. But a negative entity.
Do you mean like a possession? If someone's been possessed by an entity, is that what you mean?
Yeah, something like that.
So I suppose where I come from with the kind of that kind of aspect of magic. So if we're powerful creator beings, even unrealized, we are still powerful creator beings. So unless you give a negative entity permission to come into your space, so that could be your home, or in if you're talking about physical possession, like in the body, unless you give permission, so that's not literally signing a contract. That is literally believing that something outside of you can, affect you in that way. So that's the importance of where are you putting your attention, where are you putting your energy. So if you are literally creating a connection between you and an entity that you believe can harm you, then you are literally giving permission for that thing to do that. So I was definitely in that space many years ago. I was scared of anything that I couldn't see. But since walking this path, I have literally looked those things in the eye. I haven't banished them, but knowing that those things can't hurt me is sort of banishing them, if you get my drift. So when you stand in your power as a creator being, it's like those things literally just disappear because they have no power. All an entity is, so whether that's a ghost, a thought form, whatever those things are, the only power they hold is the power of your sentient energy, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I've heard something similar from somewhere else as well. That if we don't, I suppose the energy of belief or whatever it is, a spark of energy, then they cease to exist.
Yeah, absolutely. If you literally shun them, pay them no attention, it's like they wither and they just. It's a bit like when vampires get the sun. They shrivel up and then they turn to dust and they just blow away. It's the most powerful thing you can do to not give those, because essentially what they are is thought forms. Don't give them any attention. They cannot exist without your energy. 100%.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I was thinking about vampires, but in a different scenario. I was thinking of when traditionally, if you answer the door and a vampire's at the door, they're not allowed to enter your house until you give them permission. And I think that's metaphorically what's happening with what you're trying to describe there.
Yeah.
If you don't allow them access to your inner sanctum, your world inside the house, they have no power over you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's literally like touch the paper. You know, if someone I cannot remember the name of that film. Oh blimey. It's a very old black and white film about like a curse that's put on somebody, yeah? But it's basically...
Is it Night of the Demon?
Yes.
Is it that one? Really old film. Yeah.
So this thing is written on paper and the guy touches it. As soon as he touches it, he's kind of... And he reads it and he takes it in and he feeds it his energy. That's it. And he has to find a way of breaking that connection because he's connected his energy to that thought form. It's fascinating.
Yeah. I suppose could you do like a severing ceremony, like cord cutting ceremony to sever your energy if you had connected? Would that work, do you think?
Yeah, you could do cord cutting. You could do so switching on the light in the DNA and bringing back all your energy. So there's a particular it's one that I've got on my YouTube channel. So basically what you do, there's a series of things you do. So, and one of them is as your energy comes back to you, it is cleared of any influence from the things that it's been stuck to, if that makes sense. So when it comes back to you, it's clean and it's your energy, and yeah, it's very powerful when you do that. So there are so many different ways that you can cut those cords. So you can make it a literal thing, or you can do it in like a meditation. It really does depend, you know, what works for you. So that famous saying, "Know thyself," is I would say.
Okay.
I don't want to get all serious, but that's very important to know thyself. 100%.
Yeah.
So what do you think would work for you when it comes to, you know, severing those ties?
I don't know. I've done cord cutting works up to a point with some things.
Yeah.
But not with all things. So I don't know. I've not really done like a meditation or anything like that, like you're describing.
Well, what I can do when I get off the call, I will go and grab that. We've got it on SoundCloud, but I've also got it on YouTube. So some people, you know, you wouldn't be watching the video, but some people prefer that format to just listening to something. But I can go and grab them and share them in the group.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Can I just come in from what you've just been talking about?
Yeah.
Do you do protection yourself? So for me personally, I find it very important for myself to protect myself on a daily basis. Is that something that you do within, with what you're doing?
Kind of depends what I'm doing. If I'm going somewhere where there's a lot of people and I'm not sure what the kind of energy is going to be like, then I will take, what do I take with me? I have it's a sigil. So a sigil is basically a symbol, which is charged with Mars energy. So in my soul realignment chart, I have quite a lot of Mars energy, which would explain the warrior. So I have this sigil, which is charged with Mars energy for protection. But what I also carry with that is what crystals are in that. So there's an aquamarine. Oh blimey, what's that one called? Brain, low. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a crystal that basically amplifies my light. Yeah. And then there's also, what else is in there? There's something else in there as well. Can't think what it is. But there's 3 crystals I carry in a pouch, like behind that Mars sigil. Sometimes I will wear. Oh, I've also got this. So this is charged. Oh, you can't see it, can you? I'm holding it out to the camera. I've got a bracelet which is. It gets charged once a year with the energy of the rune of protection, which looks like a double S. And that is basically to alchemize anything that might be coming in that I'm kind of get taken off guard by, if that makes sense. I wear that all the time. I do sometimes wear a necklace with what's that got on it? That's a bit of fluorite, and it's got my pentacle and a swastika, the original swastika. But if it's not something that Ian's my kind of psychic antenna, if you like. So if he goes, Angie, you need to burn some banishing incense, I'll burn some banishing incense. Our property is gridded. That was from years ago when we were getting some quite nasty, horrible people doing some quite horrible, nasty things. So I gridded it with crystals, which keeps people, horrible people at bay. So I suppose I do, but at the same time, it's not. I don't. If I'm just going out for a walk or just going into town, I don't usually take those things with me. Unless, all these things ever really are props when we're not quite feeling confident. That's what I would say. So the crystals, the sigil, my necklace, even my bracelet that I'm wearing, are only really props until we get to the point where we are fully self-realized, and no one's going to take us on because we're just beacons. I love that. They're only ever props. It's a bit like yoga practice. You might need to use props to get the right feeling of a pose until you can do it without the props. That's kind of how I see those. But Yeah, sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I feel like I need to use them, and other times I don't. Yeah, anyway, that was a bit of a waffle, wasn't it? I hope that answered your question, Dolly.
Yes, thank you so much. I've really enjoyed the show tonight. I'm not glad that Shalene is on, but I'm glad that you've been able to carry on and talk about what you've been talking about. So thank you so much.
Cool. Anyone else before I go and have my dinner?
What are you having for dinner?
What are we having for dinner? We're having it's on the stove right now. It's been cooking away for nearly 2 hours. It's a Thai broth with mushrooms and leeks, and it's a bit spicy actually. I think I made it a bit too spicy. It's got noodles in it and stuff, mushrooms, and yeah.
Can I ask, where do you watch the Celestine Prophecy? I've read the book, but I didn't know there was a film.
It is actually on YouTube. I will grab that link as well.
Angie, just to let you know, I've actually posted it on Holistic Radio a bit ago, so if anybody wants to watch it.
Excellent.
Oh, thank you.
We did buy it on
Fabulous,
DVD
everyone.
as well,
Thank you very much.
because it is so worth buying on DVD. Because believe me, once you've watched it once, you'll keep wanting to go and watch it, because it just says it all in that.
Yeah, but like with anything else like that, the book's even better.
Yeah, there is that.
I read the book first many years ago now, changed my life.
Yeah.
And I saw the film a few years later, and it doesn't compare to the book. But yeah, that's me. Right, I'm done because I'm going to go on to walk the dog. Thank you very much, Angie. Thank you very much for Dolly, Carly, and everybody else that's come on, Mumra, and participated. And looking forward to the next show.
Indeed. So yeah, I'm going to go and have my dinner. So thank you all for listening, and look forward to the next one.
Don't forget to stop the recording.
Yes, I will stop the recording.
And when it appears in your saved messages, stick it on the group.
Yeah.
And I'll do the thing with the flyer and post it and say, look, here's the show. Click this link thing.
Cool. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks, Angie.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, all.
Bye.
Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed that. See you on the next one. No, live long and prosper.